again, I do appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate you all for talking to me today. Whammy, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Go ahead and come on up, Whammy. We could talk about that more. All right, user, how's it going, user? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board? All right, sure. What did you disagree with? Universal healthcare. I would go about it probably two different ways. The first way is basically opening up Medicare for everybody, because right now you can only get it when you're 65. So I'll just would change that rule. The moment that you start working, you start paying into the system, you pay taxes and everything like that, you can access Medicare. That's the one way I would do it. The second way I would do it is simply have a public option. Essentially, the government has an option of healthcare that's ran completely by them, and it competes alongside every other healthcare system. And the third way is basically how it's done in every other country that that's has it right now, where we it's just that we all pay into to a system, and the government funds all healthcare. Yeah, give me 1 second. Would you mind giving me a second, please? For some reason, they can't hear you. All right, can you say test for me real quick?
Yeah. Hopefully they can hear me.
Yeah. There you go. Now my guests can hear you. Now they can hear you. All right. Cool. And you were asking. Okay, so there's the true way, and there's the, say that again.
Yeah, well, so you said there's basically two or three ways. There's essentially true single payer healthcare, which is everybody pays in and then everybody gets care. Mm-hmm. And then the other option is that you have government programs and then private programs alongside that, which is kind of what we have right now in a way. I mean, it depends on where they cap the actual income limit. For instance, they extended it to 400%, and then they didn't have a limit on it. So that's kind of what existed for a little bit here. And then the third option, I think that it kind of just sounds like single payer healthcare. So
I'll probably
me personally, I would prefer just straight single payer care. I don't really think that it's a good idea to have a public option and then a private option. I just think that I think that's problematic in its nature. But
yeah, I get that. I understand that, because there'll be people who would always try to defund the program, right? So just do it all single payer. That's the way that I would do it. But I know that most people would probably agree with either Medicare for all or the public option, instead of doing it the way I would like to. But the way I would like to is just like how you said, it's just straight single payer. For the person who called 314, I'm not sure why you hung up. You can call back. I'll get to you in a second. But yeah, that's basically the way that I would do it. The single payer option.
Gotcha. Now, and I want to ask you this, because this is where I mean, the right doesn't like this opinion because they hate single payer healthcare, and the left doesn't like this opinion because in my opinion, there would literally it's not up for question. I mean, there obviously has to be guidelines to a single payer healthcare. So for instance, Do you think that it would be, I mean, like, here's kind of my big dilemma with single payer healthcare. Okay. One, the idea of single payer is that the amount of taxes that you collect has to cover the amount of care that you give out, right?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, it could be a little bit more, a little bit less. I mean, but as long as it's not unreasonably too expensive for what you're collecting in taxes, I think it has to make sense financially, obviously. I mean, you can't not do that, right?
Right. I think the amount of taxes that we collect in the United States can cover single player, where we're just not allocating it our taxes the correct way, or the way that that's preferable in my opinion. If
sure,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
I'm not saying that the taxes as they're set up would or would not cover it. I mean, obviously they move the budget, they defund things and then they fund things. And so I'm just basically making the case that the amount of taxes that are collected for the purpose of the single payer healthcare would have to be pretty close to what we're administering in care through the single payer platform, right?
Yeah, sure. I agree with that.
Okay, cool. So, and in terms of making that a reality, because I ultimately think that would be an amazing reality. Like, I don't like healthcare in America as it is, and I think it's kind of a mixture between, the government provided healthcare and private healthcare. I think that if you were going to do that, you would have to have like some pretty common sense rules on. Like, I think that you'd have to probably fix a lot of things. For instance, and this isn't like a right or a left thing, but it is factual at this point that there are quite a lot of people who are not citizens in the country, right?
Right.
So kind of my thought process goes, well, the whole purpose of single payer is that the people who are paying into the system want it. That's why you would institute single payer, because the people who are paying the taxes want there to be single payer. So in my opinion, if you were ever going to successfully have single payer, it could only obviously apply to citizens unless you had a surplus. But you couldn't use the surplus until you have the surplus. Like, maybe you could use the surplus of last year to cover people who are non-citizens. But that kind of depends on if there's a surplus from the year before. Is that a crazy idea, or do you think that's reasonable?
Essentially the way that healthcare is ran now is that anybody could. Hey, thanks for hat and mustache. The way that it's ran now is, I wouldn't see a reason to do that. To tell you the truth, I wouldn't see a reason to do that, because no country does that. Essentially, none of them do that. Because we basically everybody takes the Hippocratic oath, so you're gonna get the care that you need, right? So
sure,
if that's the case. If we have universal health care, I don't think anything would change much, unless like if you were to say that the people who are not citizens are then going to get a bill, but if they're not citizens, they're not going to pay the bill anyway. Let's just go ahead and do universal.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of a twofold issue, right? Like, if the taxpayers are paying into single payer healthcare, and then a report comes out, and the single payer healthcare was underfunded, and the hospitals are understaffed, and there's not enough money to provide the amount of care that's required. If 20% of the care is coming from people who are illegal immigrants, I don't think it's insane of the people who are paying the bill, the citizens who wanted to institute single payer healthcare for the citizens of the country, to say, hey, we might need to do something about that. For instance, like Canada and all of the countries in Europe. I'll just do Canada, because I think that they actually have like a true single payer system. If you're an American and you go to Canada and you need medical care, or like you wanted to have a baby, for instance, like, they will let you have the baby, but they do bill you. And in fact, in Canada, they actually will not administer the care unless you provide a certain amount of cash up front for a portion of the procedure. So for instance, like, other countries that do single payer healthcare, they have that restriction. And like, for instance, I know like Britain and the UK, but I mean, if you look at what's happening with the NIH right now, it's completely essentially destroyed. I mean, the healthcare in Europe is not very good. It's not like Canada's. It's not like the United States. It's very, very bad. And if you read into why it's bad, it's mainly because all of the care, all of the money that's supposed to be going toward the single payer system or the public option, they've allowed so many people to immigrate over there or to come in as refugees, and they're sucking up a lot of the money of the NIH. And I'm not saying that's their fault. I'm not saying that those people don't deserve care. But I am making the point that if the citizens who are paying in, if it's their system, if they own it, and they're saying, hey, we want a single payer, we're all going to pay in for healthcare for us, I don't really think that it's anybody's like moral prerogative to say, well, you're allowed to have that system, but you have to allow anybody in the world to come there and benefit from the system without paying in. Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that's how it works everywhere. That's how it works now. No, I'll tell you the truth, because if an illegal immigrant goes,
the countries are running deficits and
hold on, listen.
Financially exploding.
Listen, if an illegal immigrant were to go to the hospital right now, to the ER, that's going to get covered somehow, some way. That's how it's run now.
Yes.
Man, we don't even
know how it's covered.
Right. But the second thing that I would say is when it comes to other countries, right, such as the NIH, such as France's system, the issue in their system is not the immigrants. The issue system is that it's underfunded. You know what I mean? And when it's like underfunded, it's not like most, like a good portion of the funding is going towards illegal immigrants, is that the government budget simply doesn't fund it. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
so if it were,
like, for instance,
well, hold on, wait, let me just finish what I was saying. It'll be a difference if that it was, fully funded. Like, okay, we need $100 million, and then we're running out because there's 20% of people who are not citizen that needs to be in these that are taking it. That would be one thing, but that's not what's happening. It's basically this program needs $100 million and they give it 75 instead. It's always going to be underfunded if you do that. You see what I'm saying? So the issue is not the immigrants, it's that they're underfunded.
But like just kind of think about the practicality of how this actually works, though. For instance, if you have a population of 100 million or whatever, and let's say that you provide 100 million to the NIH, in 10 years ago, the healthcare is good, and the hospitals are fine, and they're not overrun, and the funding is there. Okay, so you have a system that works. In a vacuum, it works. And then if you bring in millions of people from war-torn countries who are fleeing these desperate situations, they're coming over, but they're typically not going to be like high income people. They're not going to be like contributing a bunch of taxes, but what they are probably going to need is like medical care. So for instance, the reason that the NIH or Canada, for instance, the reason it might have been properly funded, it would appear to most people that those systems were properly funded 10 years ago. They've allowed in a lot of immigration, and as a result, now those systems are underfunded. But they're not underfunded because the people aren't paying enough money. They're just underfunded because they imported a lot of people who are not really paying a lot of taxes, and those people need medical care.
But bro, when we analyze
in the last 10 years, they've upped the taxes, and they're still underfunded because it's not keeping up with the immigration.
What I'm saying is that when we analyze these systems, that's not the reason. The reason is that the government is simply not funding it. It's what I say. It's not because of the immigrants. They're just not funding it.
So what are they doing with all the money they collect in taxes?
Well,
I mean, these people are paying like 60% total rate in tax.
Right. They, I don't know
their first world countries.
I don't know their entire budget, but I know when it comes to France, it's mostly just war shit. Like like France is to Africa what we are to the Middle East, basically. They're always over there.
Okay, but I understand like they're all kind of different, and I understand that they each have their own individual problems, but there's definitely, and like, dude, I want you to understand, I'm not like, this is kind of my difficulty with the left, is like, this isn't really like it's kind of like a common sense issue. Like if you were going to do a single payer healthcare.
Right. No, I get what you're coming from. I get what you're coming from. But there's
more expensive.
Right. I get what you're coming from, but there's several mistakes you're making. You're assuming that these people are not paying taxes. And within the United States, we know that they do. But the second mistake that you're making is that when we actually look at the data of what's going on with these healthcare systems, it's not because there's a bunch of immigrants in the system. It's just that their governments are simply not funding it. That's the reason.
Okay, so I want to get this straight. Okay, so this is just kind of a thought process. So people in these countries are paying like roughly 60% total tax. So they're paying like twice or more the amount of tax that Americans are paying. They have single payer systems. Those systems are underfunded, even though they're collecting all this money in taxes. And so the solution is to put more responsibility of administering healthcare into the government, which for some reason is collecting 60% of everyone's money in taxes, and they're not able to run a healthcare program. But the answer would be to give them more power and more funding, and that's your solution.
No, they're able to run the healthcare program because every single time when they properly
it's not going well.
No, it can go well. What I'm saying is that when it's properly funded, it goes fine. Whenever they don't fund it,
tax the people more though. They're already getting taxed 60%.
You actually let me finish my sentence, bro. When they actually fund these programs properly, everything goes good and well. The problems that you're talking about when it comes up is the years where they do not properly fund it, where they take austerity measures. When they take austerity measures, that's when the healthcare systems goes to shit. But when they don't do that, the healthcare systems are fine. So it's not because they're putting immigrants into the system.
Extra money to fund them, though.
Hold on. Someone's echoing. Give me a second. Like there doesn't need to be any extra money. It just needs to be properly funded, and they don't do it.
Okay, so are you suggesting just cutting the budget from other things and then just putting more money into healthcare?
Yes.
Okay, well then, okay, all right. If that's the solution, then what? This is like actually kind of racking my brain. So the people who like countries like Canada and in the UK, so their politicians all advocate for single payer. So the people of the country give these people their taxes and they let them put in a program to put in single payer healthcare. Mm-hmm. And then the politicians who said that this would be great and everything would work out and everybody would be fine, then literally take the money, they collect the money in taxes, and they just simply do not fund the program. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. They fund other things, or they cut into the program exactly. They cut into that program to fund other things.
That kind of indicate that that the government in and of itself, because of corruption and because of human greed, is not capable on a large scale of actually doing single payer healthcare.
No, they are. They are actually capable of doing it because we see. Because hold on, it's not your turn yet. That depends on the country that we're talking about. Because in Japan, it's not. Hold on, it's not all of them. Because in Japan, it's not a problem.
Yeah, but they have no immigrants.
So.
And also,
that's kind of the thing. So I'm saying,
right, but hold on.
But budgets, and I don't think that it's just strictly underfunding. I think that just when you bring in
the data doesn't say that, bro.
That's a lot of money.
What I'm saying is the data doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. You're just assuming that to be the case. But when we look into the issue that these people that these healthcare systems have, like France, like the NIH in Canada, immigrants aren't the issue.
I'm not saying that immigrants just in and of themselves are the issue. I'm just saying that just common sense, like mathematics would tell us, if you have a system 10 years, like, I'm just kind of struggling to understand this. So are you suggesting, so just to be clear, because this is the only way that what you're saying is true. So what you're saying is that the funding to the NIH and the funding to the healthcare systems in the UK they've been going down. They've been funding those less over the last couple of years.
Yeah, they fund them less. They do austerity measures, and that's the first thing they target.
Let's look up total funding for Canadian healthcare over the last 5 years, and let's see if they've been cutting the funding. I mean, maybe you're right and I'm wrong. My gut tells me that these programs have probably become a lot more expensive over the last 5 years. And if that's true, that would negate your point.
No, it wouldn't.
It would.
If it gets more expensive and you don't fund the expenses, that's underfunding, my friend. Like, what do you mean?
Listen, but
like if your car note, like if your car note goes from,
saying that they've been cut, that they're getting less funding, and
let's say that your car note is $400, and then for some reason your bank makes it $600. If you're still paying $400, you're still underfunding your car note, right? You got to pay $600 because it went up. Right or wrong? Oh, he left. All right, so let's talk to Kang. Kang, how's it going? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board? There's someone who keeps calling from the 314 area code. I don't know who that is, But 314 area code, like, you got to go ahead and actually wait for me to answer you. I'm not sure why you call in and hang up in 5 seconds. But excuse me. Sorry about that. Kang, how's it going, Kang? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
Yeah, I'm 38. I disagree with a few of the things on your board. I was just wondering if we could sort of pick up where that conversation was.
Okay, sure. Well, what did you need? What you want to talk about?
Yeah, so essentially, let's imagine this. So the government says, you give me this $100 and I'm going to provide all of these services, right? But then they don't actually provide all of the services. So then they come back to you and they say, hey, we messed up a little bit with our budgeting. We're going to need just a little bit more this time around. All right, fine. So we give a little bit more. But then those programs still don't get funded. So at what point do you say you don't need more money? You just need to be better stewards of the money that you get?
The moment the program comes in, like, that should be the first thing, right? Anyone voting for measures that, which is why I think we as a people need to get more involved with what our politicians and everything like that vote for, because the first thing that they do is to cut funding in one area and put the money towards another area, or just don't fund that program at all. Then we know that there's an issue there, and we should vote that person out, and we should hold our politicians responsible. Like, I don't think that, like, a politician just being a politician, I mean, there's going to be a jerk that pockets, taxpayer dollars. That doesn't usually happen. Like, but these type of things do happen on Capitol Hill or every government, where they just don't fund something to fund something else.
Because you're not answering the question that I'm asking. So let me try to ask it a different way. Maybe it'll be clearer.
No, I think I did answer. You said, at what point do you think that you guys don't need more money? You need to be more.
The question was?
Right.
Can I explain what the question was?
No, I understood the question, and I did answer it.
Okay.
I said that when hold on, wait, Kang. I did answer the question because you asked at what point, Kang. I'm going to answer it again since you probably didn't hear me.
You're not answering the actual question.
You probably didn't understand my answer. So here's my answer.
I don't have a problem understanding you. It's that it's irrelevant to the
at the point where you tell them they need to be better stewards of the money is the point where the program starts. They should always be stewards of the money. Now, if you're saying that in your situation we didn't do that, then yeah, when we see that the first time they do that, that's at the point where you said, y'all, I don't need more money. I need to be better stewards. Figure this shit out. We don't want to raise our taxes anymore. Y'all figure this shit out to actually fund this program you said you're going to fund. The first time they're going to do it, or even when they're going to do it, like the first time the program goes in, you do it. The second time they say that we need more money, you need to ask why, what's happening, is it properly funded, why isn't it properly funded? Ask all the questions in order for them to be better stewards of the money, because we don't want that program cut.
Do you think that the problem is that the United States federal government doesn't have enough money to do it, or do you think that they are just not good enough stewards of the money currently for the programs that we have in place, not for what you want?
They don't have the political will. It's not that the American government are not good stewards of the money, because when it comes to the United States military, they're actually stewards of the money, right? Well, actually, no, you're right. You're right about that. Hold on. Yeah.
They're actually not.
Actually, yeah, they're actually not. You're right about that. You're actually right about that. When it comes to the United States government, they can be good stewards of the money, right? That can happen. The issue is political will. There's no political will to be good stewards of the money.
Stewards of the money.
What happened?
Where are they good stewards of the money? When have they been good stewards of the money?
Prior to Reagan, and you can look at multiple programs that prior to Reagan, they were very good stewards of the money. Reagan basically, was saying that government is the problem, so he slashed things like the IRS, people who would actually audit. Like, the reason why billionaires get away with not paying their taxes a whole bunch of times is because we don't have enough IRS people to go after them, and they've even admitted it. They even admitted that we don't have enough agents to go after the billionaires who skip out on their taxes, which is why they attack us. And all these are funded by lobbying groups and stuff like that. So if we get rid of Citizens United and get rid of like money and politics, did he leave? Oh, he left. All right, guys. The phone line is open. Go ahead and call in 786-751-7853. It's right up there. It's right up there. You guys can go ahead and call in. For some reason, John Stevens is telling me that Kamala lost, and I'm not sure why he's telling me that for. Yeah, she lost. Sure. But anyway, y'all, so the phone line is right there, 786-751-7853. Call in if you would like. All right. And I did invite Asking Crown to come up and talk to me because he said that my topics are rage bait, and they are not. This is what I actually believe. These are what I actually believe, and I can tell you what I actually believe them, but you will have to come up and actually talk to me. There was someone who called earlier, but for some reason they just kept on hanging up. They would call for 5 seconds and then hang up. I'm not sure why. David Taylor, the fake preacher. I probably have heard of him, but maybe. All right, my dude, go ahead and come on up. If I lack comprehension, you can go ahead and tell me why I do lack that comprehension. Go ahead and come on up. Y'all gotta say, y'all can insult me all day, but if you're not actually gonna come up and talk, then you're just being a bitch. But go ahead and talk to me. David Taylor, I probably have heard of him. I would need to hear the story again. I didn't go back to work then, bro. But yeah, when it comes to David Taylor, I'll have to hear the story because I'm not I might have heard about him. If you play Kid Rock backwards, you hear Satan. Unfortunately, if you hear Kid Rock forward, you hear Kid Rock. That's a good one. If you hear Kid Rock backwards, you play Kid Rock backwards, you'll hear Satan. Unfortunately, if you play him forward, you'll hear Kid Rock. That's funny. All right, so we got a call from an anonymous. Hey, how's it going? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
My name is Benjamin. I'm 18. I don't know what you have on the board.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you. All right. So number 1 is America was never great. Number 2 is leftist policies are better for society. Number 3 is reparations for Black Americans. Number 4 is can you give me a good reason to believe in your God? Number 5 is faith is unreliable. And number 6 is Bad Bunny was better than Clanchella.
Okay, we can talk about America.
Sure. I think America was
great.
All right, sure. I think America was never great because the way that I define greatness is not just an economic or military power, but also in the ability to build institutions that follow the pro-humane and pro-social principles that you set out to do. Like, for example, America, one of its pro-humane, pro-social principles that it says it sets out to do is liberty, justice for all, freedom for all, equality, opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. You need to build institutions in order to expand those as much as possible to as much people as possible, especially those without power, right? In American history, we've seen that not only have they failed to do that, they fight against doing that. And even till today, we fight against doing it. So until we can change that, America can't be great.
Right. And, as a compatriot of Israel and America, I think it is best we strive to make America great. And I think, what you laid out there is just perfect. And, as a compatriot of Israel and America, I think that it'd just be a great thing, what you laid out.
Yeah, sure. It'd be a great thing if we did that, but America hasn't. So why do you think America is great?
Why do I think America is great? Because anybody can become president.
No, we can't. Not everybody can become president.
Well, name people who can't be president.
People who aren't rich.
Obama literally came from an immigrant family, and he became president.
And he was rich?
I don't think so. I thought he came from a poor immigrant family in Hawaii.
when he became an adult, he was a lawyer. So his wife, they made like $1 million a year.
Okay, well, he became rich in his adult life. I thought you were talking about people that come from poverty, which he does come from.
He doesn't really come from poverty. He comes from the middle class, actually. His mother was middle class.
Well,
but I get what you mean by that, right? I get what you mean by that. It could be like, I think Bill Clinton was poor and then became rich later. Yeah, so I get what you mean by that. People who are start off in one area in life can rise up to be in the most powerful seat on the planet. That does take a lot of connections and stuff like that, though. But I do get like overall what you mean. I get that. But
okay. What's your political affiliation? That's the question.
I'm a leftist in the same vein of Malcolm X, MLK, and Huey P. Newton.
Oh, so like not a Democrat, like a leftist, like a black empowerment kind of leftist?
Yes.
All right, that's cool. I mean, black empowerment's cool and whatever. You know, you guys have been oppressed and you guys have been horribly mistreated, segregated, enslaved. I think it was absolutely horrible. But I mean, like, I don't know about empowering any race or people because, like, I don't want to detriment any other people. You know, I want us to all be kind of equal and doing our own thing.
Yeah, sure. I think everybody agrees with that.
All right, so then that's my grounds for disagreeing with black empowerment. Maybe the same way as like white empowerment or Jewish empowerment. You know, I just disagree with any empowerment.
I'm not sure why you disagree with empowerment, because if a group has been oppressed, then the empowerment of that group is not the disempowerment of anybody else. White people in this country have always had the power. So calling for black empowerment is not calling for disenfranchisement of white people. However, calling for white power does have a cultural and historical connotation of oppressing other people, because whites already have power, so you don't need more.
I mean, blacks have had power. I mean, Obama
being president doesn't mean that black people have power. That's stupid.
Well, hey, if this was the 1950s, he would not have been able to run, but he was able to run. And
that doesn't mean that black people have power. That's ridiculous, man.
He had the power, and he was half black.
That doesn't mean that black people have power, bro. What are we talking about?
No, then what does it mean for people to have power? I mean, like, black people can go to college, can go to school, they can get good jobs, get degrees.
Yeah. Do we run any institution in the United States?
We have universities.
That's not my question, man. The institutions of the United States, such as finance, banking, healthcare, military, the government itself, do any of us run that?
I mean, you guys ran the government for 8 years. So you were voted until
Obama being president doesn't mean that black people run the government. This is kind of dumb.
The government. The president runs the government, the head in chief.
The government, the president doesn't run the government, man. It's checks and balances. See, now Trump thinks that's the way it's supposed to be, and the Republicans tend to agree with them. But yeah, that's not how that works.
Okay. Well, just know that you're open to become a true child of Israel and come to Israel.
Well, why would I do that?
Because Israel is the greatest country on earth, and the land was promised to us 3,000 years ago.
No, it wasn't. There's no God. Yahweh doesn't exist.
Excuse me?
Yahweh doesn't exist.
Are you an anti-Semite?
Yahweh doesn't exist, and Jewish people aren't magic. Nothing was promised to you.
What you're saying.
Nothing was promised to you, my friend.
But Abraham had the covenant with God. No. Are you serious?
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. I do appreciate y'all. Hey, everybody, tap that screen, y'all. Tap that screen. I do appreciate y'all. I do appreciate y'all for being up here. Again, the phone number for anybody who wants to talk to me is right up here: 786-751-7853. Go ahead and call on up. All right, go ahead and call on up. Carl, go ahead and call in. I'm not sure if I spoke to you before, Carl, but go ahead and call in, and we can go ahead and have that conversation. Yeah, this was insane. Very, very insane. But yeah, y'all go ahead and call in. I appreciate y'all for being here. I appreciate y'all for. Give me 1 second. I'm just copying this. Appreciate y'all for being here. Yeah, I know Carl. Yeah, oh, is that the Carl? That said. I don't know. People always say that. People always claim that. People always claim that. Y'all go ahead and call on Lynn. I'm just out here sharing the live. I'm just gonna be out. I'm just out sharing the live. So if anybody would like to call in, go ahead and call in, and then we can run that. We can have a good conversation. We're gonna have the good conversation. Yeah, Carl, if you want to call in, Carl, go ahead and hit that number. All right. So shout out to everybody who's watching me on the Deconstruction Junction. Sorry, everybody who's watching me on Volsy Thoughts. Y'all go ahead and tap that screen. Let's try to get more people in here. I see people over on Deconstruction Junction asking about reparations. Hey, y'all, the phone number's right here, y'all. So I'm not sure why you're asking in the comments when you can literally just call in and, you know, we can talk about the conversation. Like, for example, do Sicilians get 50% reparations? Not sure why you bring up Sicilians, but call in. Tell me what your point was. Trump is going to grant you reparations. Might as well wait for the second. Well, I don't think Trump is going to do it. Africa has slave shops. Arabs bought most. South America also huge. America only 3 to 5% of slaves. Yeah. So, like, I don't. Y'all are saying all these in the comments, and there's the phone number, y'all. There's the phone number. You can call in. You can actually talk to me about it. Like, I don't know what y'all so afraid of. I've had actual decent conversations before, but y'all would rather just bitch and moan in the comments, which is weird. Nah, Leland, I'll let people talk. Yeah, I just can't, think you can over talk me. Because I'm not gonna fight for the mic on my own show. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna fight for the mic on my own show. So if you just go on 3 5-minute rants, I'm gonna mute you up and I'm like, I gotta answer you. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's see who's here. All right, 903. How's it going? How's it going? Can I have your name? All right, can I have your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the? Ooh, sorry about that. I muted you by mistake. Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
So my name is Joshua. I'm 37, and I disagree with some of what you have on the board.
All right, Joshua, 37. You disagree with some of it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put our countdown on the clock. What did you disagree with and why?
So number one is shit. Hold on. Sorry, let me clear this up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I had YouTube playing in the background, so it was echoing.
Mm-hmm.
So I disagree that Democrat policies are subjectively best for a number of reasons. And that's really the only thing and faith is baseless. I also disagree with those. Those are the only 2 points I really disagree with.
Okay, so it actually says leftist policies. I don't think that Democrats are leftist. I think they're okay. Liberal. They're to the left of the Republicans, but they're not actually as left as I am. But so it's not really Democrat policies. It's leftist policies, the policies that I would believe in. And I can tell you what they are, and if you need clarification.
Okay, so can you tell me some leftist policies that you believe are best for society?
Yeah, sure. Universal.
Also, I've been listening to you. You have very good argument points. So good job, bro.
Gotcha. I appreciate you. Yeah, sure. So the leftist society, I'm sorry, I said society. The leftist policies I think would be better for America are things like universal health care, paid parental leave, heavy investment into infrastructure and walkable cities, heavy investment into renewables and nuclear energy, not war profiteering, nationalization of key industries, things like that. And we can go down a litany of other things, but things like that, pretty much.
All right. Well, let me address some of them. I'll start with universal health care from an economic standpoint, right? Realistically speaking, if everybody were able to afford all the health care that is necessary, especially in America, because we have a bunch of simultaneous health issues, a lot of which affect our overall health, and is health just limited to you to like mental health, physical health, or overall health?
I would say overall health.
Let me ask that question.
Yeah, I would say overall health. All of it, physical, mental, all of it. And there's a reason why I say that I think it would be better and overall for at a certain time it'll get cheaper than what we have today. But go ahead and continue.
Well, there's 340 million people in America currently.
That's right. Yeah, just about.
Okay. Right. Not also excluding those who are born, those who are dying, because we are living longer by statistics than we did less than 100 years ago, right? But we have a lot better healthcare as a whole. I believe due to that healthcare, due to the strain on the healthcare system, if only taxes had to burden that weight, I believe we would bankrupt ourselves in a heartbeat, not only because we have to take care of ourselves, but we also have to be able to take care of people who are then immigrants as well.
Okay, so
I don't think it would be feasible unless we increase taxes by an astronomical amount.
Okay, so I do agree that we will have to probably raise taxes a bit, but I don't think that we will have to raise them by any astronomical amount. What we would need to do is hire more IRS agents, so billionaires and multimillionaires don't skip out on taxes and get away with tax loopholes. We'll have to do that, right? So there'll be more IRS agents. The reason why the IRS bothers the little guy is because they don't have enough manpower to go after the billionaires because they bury them in paperwork and lawyers. So we will need to fund that, right? We also need to audit the military, not give them as much money as they get because they lose billions of dollars every year. So that's two things with that we can do to shore all this up, right? But the second thing that I would say is, number one, that immigrants pay into the system anyway. They pay taxes. Like a lot of people think that just immigrants are just getting paid under the table and not doing shit. A lot of them pay taxes, or I would say even most of them actually pay taxes, even the undocumented ones. But that's the second thing that I would say. And the third thing that I would say is I don't think it would bankrupt us at all, because we're literally the only industrialized country that does not have universal health care, like the only one. You know what I mean? And I think we make enough in our GDP. We make enough money every year in order to do it. Funding it will probably take $2 or $3 trillion last time I checked. And America makes I think $30 trillion a year. So we actually do have the money to fund it. We just don't have the infrastructure. We're just not doing it, essentially. And not only that, it wouldn't even be hard. You can do, if people are uncomfortable with just having a universal system, you can just open up Medicare to everybody. Yeah, I mean, just instead of it being available at 65, you can get it immediately, and boom, you have universal health care there. If you just do Medicare for all.
So, is that your point, or did you have more? I don't like interrupting people.
Oh yeah, that was it. You can go ahead.
Okay, so here's the deal, bro. I have an issue with. Well, I don't have an issue with opening Medicaid up early for those who are actually in this dire need for it, right? But let's look at some of the major health issues that we deal with as that's almost uniquely American at this point. Like type 1 diabetes is super prevalent in the United States because of essentially our trashy diets.
Yeah.
That in itself creates a level of insulin dependency, especially with type 2 diabetes, right? So just the insulin alone, which again, we can make it cheaper, but with the amount of people that are currently on these necessary meds, venereal diseases, and like I can go down the list. And I'm not at my computer, so I can't give you an itemized one like I would like to, but the top 10 medical issues in America right now are vastly prominent, like 20, 30 percentile, which is ridiculous for, again, an industrialized country.
Mhm.
I think we would overtax the medical system because I just don't believe we have the manpower or the financial resources to secure all of that. And so before I land, the military industrial, the mic is how I call it. I believe our mic is necessary, even if not to the extent that we have it at. The reason why so first and foremost, America is an island, but we're an island that still has threats to us. It would take a lot for somebody to actually threaten us, but that doesn't negate the fact that there are active threats that we do need to be prepared for in any normal situation. And I believe I'm the type that believes I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah. So when it comes to our health problems, right? I do agree with that. I think everybody agrees that our issues with like diabetes and stuff like that, those are very uniquely American, and that's because there's glucose in everything. There's sugar in all of our food, even in French fries. There's sugar in it. So that's one of the main reasons why we have such an issue with diabetes, right? So I agree with you that there's a lot of things within the food industry that does need to change. I don't agree. Excuse me. I disagree with the way that RFK wants to do it, but I do agree with the certain excuse me. I do agree with the overall point that we need to do something about the food in our food industry and how unhealthy it is. Right. We can work on that. One thing I've always said is that we can walk and chew gum. We can have universal health care and do something about our food industry. And I also think that if we had universal health care, you would also get more preventative care, meaning that you'll catch diabetes earlier. Like a lot of people catch their diabetes, they're diabetic within their late teens to early 20s. And even if they do catch it early, they don't do anything about it because, they just can't afford the insulin. So if we did actually have, what other countries do, such as price controls on insulin and such as having the universal health care and encouraging preventative care, which more people will be able to do because they'll be able to afford it, you'll see a lot of these health issues basically, for lack of a better word, go down or not be as prevalent. You see what I mean? That doesn't mean that it's going to disappear overnight. I think we can take care of our obesity and diabetes issues within 15 years if we institute not just price controls on insulin, but universal health care and reforming our food industry so that, unhealthy preservatives and, chalking everything full of sugar to preserve it, everything like that. If we do those things all at once, then you will see that the issues you're talking about will be less and less prevalent. And I think we can do it. Okay. The only reason that we're not is because of political will, essentially. I think that's the only reason why we're not doing it.
Well, let me give you a little bit of pushback there. Mm-hmm. So in 2000, I believe it was 2 or 3, when Michelle Obama started the Let's Move initiative, one of its RFK's current WIC restrictions are based on Michelle Obama's Let's Move food diet, the food section of the Let's Move initiative. They're very analogous. And so the thing is, like, in schools, I was in high school at that time. So I kind of remember when they started changing the diets as a whole. One of the issues that happened, though, is the reason why I agree with what's going on is the weight of what has to happen, right? So, like, if we're going to do things to control over our diet, if we're going to do things to control overall issues, as a people, in order for universal health care to work at an effective level, we'd essentially have to be able to, one, nuke people's diets and control how, not just what people eat, but how they eat. Like, there's a lot of anti-freedoms that would have to come with it to even begin that issue. And I think that's what my inherent concern would be, to change. Because if you change too much too fast, you're going to cause bigger issues than just simply people being overweight or people just stopping sugar.
Mm-hmm. All right. So when it comes to Michelle Obama's program, right? The issue with Michelle Obama's program is that it did stigmatize people, and not only that, the food was just nasty. Like you just look at it, the shit it was just nasty. It was pretty gross, right? So that's what was going on. But what I would say is that you don't necessarily have to control anyone's diet. You just have to give them viable options and appealing options, essentially. Like there are dishes out there that are healthy, like like a fish with like asparagus and broccoli and stuff like that. That's pretty healthy. And it tastes good, and it's appealing, right? So that's all you really need to do. You just need to give more viable options. But one of the big issues, like I said, with the American diet is, again, our food industry, all the preservatives, all the sugar. I mean, we regulate that more often. We're able to do that. And I think a lot of the issues that you're seeing, like I said, will be less prevalent. It definitely would, because this is a little anecdotal, but I don't know if you've ever spoken to anyone who's been overseas for any amount of time, like people who go to, like, Germany or the UK or Japan for like 2 or 3 weeks. They always say whenever they come back to America, they saw that they lost 5 pounds, or they lost 10 pounds, they lost 15 pounds.
Oh, no, I've been one of those people.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, I absolutely understand it.
Yeah, exactly. So the food is just different. Yeah, I mean, so I think if we concentrate on those things, I don't think we need to control anyone's diet. I don't think that's necessary to do. We just need to provide better options, if that makes sense. We are at about a minute left. Did you have anything else, though?
Okay. Let me attack the faith thing real quick.
Sure.
Because I don't believe faith is a problem. I think the way people interpret faith is the problem.
No,
I don't mean to be overly religious, but at the end of the day, God made us all the way we are for a reason. And if God believes that everything knows us from the beginning to the end, he also knows how we think about every aspect. I think people forget that faith is equated to love, and love is equated to being the desire to put one before self, even if that faith is in God. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So when it comes to faith, right, I don't think it's a problem. I just say that it's unreliable. That's what I would say. Is not an issue. It's unreliable. And the reason why we know it's unreliable is because the ancient people, like the ancients that existed 2,000, 3,000 years ago, they had faith in all types of things, right? Like, Zeus, Osiris, dragons, things like that. And we know those things aren't true.
Right.
But they had a lot of faith in it. You know what I mean? So because faith can lead you to a wrong conclusion, you need something more than that, which means that faith is not really reliable. But it's not a problem. I don't find it to be like a big. It only becomes problematic when, just like how like I said, like when you put in either policies or treat people a certain way, et cetera, based on that faith. That's when it becomes problematic, in my opinion.
I think faith equates to hope, though, and the lack of hope is actually what causes people to lose the desire for improvement. I think faith is a necessity. I know it sounds super like weeboo, but faith is necessary for us to continue to have a reason to push harder, for us to have a reason to want to be better, for us to actually try to succeed or try to change. Like, you have faith that we should change the system. That faith is still part of the drive to continue. You see what I mean? Like, I think people mistake faith for blind obsession, and it's not. It's literally, hey, I believe this can be something, and I know it is possible.
I mean, if you're going to define faith that way, sure, but like my beliefs are not based off of just like I think this will work. It's more based on, this is the evidence that we have, and these are the reasons that we have, and they're solid, good reasons, and we should discuss them and put them into play. I see faith when it comes to religion more as, there's this thing that other people told me to believe, and I guess I see these things happening every day, so boom, I believe it. I mean, it's not really something that's a reliable system to go off of, in my opinion. It's not really what you're talking about when it comes to like hope and stuff like that. I don't equate that with faith.
Well, I think faith is required for hope to work, because faith by definition is a deep and unquestionable trust, confidence, or reliance in someone or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think in order to have hope, you have to have faith. Like, you can't have one without the other, because if I don't have faith that something will work, I won't hope that it can be. I won't even aim for it, because the hope doesn't exist. Hope creates drive.
Mm-hmm.
Hope creates aspiration, and hope creates, literally hope can open the door for more faith. Like, it's almost circular if you really think about it. It's an Ouroboros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get what you're talking about, right? Like, faith is like you said, like complete, trust and confidence. But when you say that you need faith for hope to work, not really, because hope is just being optimistic. You don't necessarily. Hope is just an optimistic state of mind. Faith is actually attached to something. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say. But I only find, like I said, faith problematic is when it leads to harm. If it's not leading to harm, I don't really care about faith. I just don't think you should rely on it. And same thing with hope too. I don't think you should you should rely just on hope. You shouldn't just be optimistic. You need to put things in motion.
That's fair. Well, this was a great conversation. I actually appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Hey, I appreciate you, and you have a good one. All right, 561. I'm gonna get to you next. 561. Give me a moment. I do have Fire on the stage. Fire, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you now. I do apologize that I had to mute you before. It's because you had noise in your background. But all right,
hey,
so
what's up, man?
I'm all right. So, Fire, are you at least 18? And did you disagree with what I had on the board?
I am 18, and yeah, there's disagreement and agreement. So it's like yes and no.
All right, what did you disagree with and why?
So, for example, people talk about, like, everybody's talking about millionaires getting taxed. Realistically, when it comes to millionaires, they get tax breaks because they create jobs. They use that money. They utilize it to create more business, which gives us jobs. I mean, we're just at the bottom of the barrel. We're just a number. What the people usually that complain about millionaires being taxed is people who don't know how to manage their money. I know how to manage my money. I got no credit card debt. I got no car payment, just low mortgage. And all I do is focus on how to not get myself into debt. So I could care less if the millionaires get taxed or not. I could care less if you get taxed or not. Like, I'm focused on what I can control. And the millionaire issue is it's like car insurance. You don't get a discount until you've been clear for I don't know how many years. Till you're 25, you've been clean record. And yeah, the 18-year-old doesn't deserve a discount in insurance. Why? Because he's young. He doesn't have any experience. So things have to be earned. But yeah, that's what I think about the whole millionaire taxes.
All right. So when it comes to the millionaires getting tax breaks and causing and creating businesses, that's been an assumption since Ronald Reagan, and they don't do that. They actually just basically save all that money and put it in offshores. Sometimes, yeah, they reinvest into America because they have to, but they only reinvest minimally in order for them to make more profit. They don't just reinvest that money to make more business and expand the thing. That doesn't happen. Trickle down for the past 30 years, we know doesn't work. So saying that millionaires get tax breaks in order to make businesses, we know is crap because they don't do that. But the second thing that I would say is that the reason why we worry about them paying their taxes, or always paying their taxes, is because we all benefit from that system. Like the way that you're talking to me right now, like taxes paid for that. You know what I'm saying? So if we have a group of people who are not contributing to the system, or we give them breaks and we spend the same amount, but we don't have much revenue coming in, that's going to be that's going to start to cause problems, isn't it? Like, I get when you say that, people who talk about millionaires just don't know how to manage their money, or are usually people who don't know how to manage their money. It's not exactly true. The issue is that we see that the power and the influence that they have, and basically causing our politicians to agree or pass laws more that benefit them and not benefit the rest of society. So these are the issues that we're having. It's not just about the millionaires and we don't want them to be millionaires. It's the fact that
Right.
they have an effect on society, and the society and the effect that they've been having is negative.
Right. And look, and you have a lot of good key points. They do try to find, spend their money somewhere else, and they have offshore accounts. And I mean, realistically, we're like in a Hunger game. Everyone's trying to survive. Everyone's trying to figure it out, right? So there's going to be loopholes. That's in every angle. We all have loopholes in our jobs and anything that we do. Now, the politicians could 100% control these tax breaks, and they know what they're doing because at the end of the day, they're getting paid for by those millionaires. So, and here we are. They want us to fight realistically, fight. You guys always creating but realistically, they can make the change if they want to. They don't want us to go after them. They're the biggest snakes. They're the ones that control even for the food industry, the FDA. They don't put, these. So I'm gonna switch. Now I'm gonna go into the whole medical stuff. Now you have these people, the FDA approving all these chemicals in our food, which create all these medical issues, and and so forth, right? So I'm like, these politicians from day one, they sell their soul to these companies. And here we are. We're the ones trying to fight each other, but realistically, we should be fighting them.
Yeah, I agree. Which is why I'm a leftist.
Yeah, and it's just that's it. Like I don't like to. I sit back and I kind of watch both sides, and realistically, it's just creating division, right? But at the end of the day, it's still good because not all of us are going to agree on some things, and we need opinions on both sides. It's like we all make this whole country, we all make it good.
Yeah. I mean, I could agree with some of that. I'm not sure of the ideas that come from the right at the moment, because it's like it's all just seems that immigrants suck thing. But other than that, yeah, I agree. We do have to come together and talk about these issues, etc. You know what I mean? But that's really what I mean when it comes to the millionaires. Just like how you said, like right now it feels like Hunger Games, right? But what the left is saying is that it shouldn't be that way. Why is society Hunger Games? We like scarcity. There's artificial scarcity that's created. Like we make enough food to literally feed the planet, and we throw most of it away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's forced scarcity, So that's the issue that us on the left are saying. It feels like Hunger Games right now, but it shouldn't be that way. And maybe we should get rid of President Snow,
I mean, it's always kind of been like that, but there's going to be highs and lows. There's going to be, if you talk to the older people, they tell you their pandemic, their situation, and it just seems like it constantly keeps, happening. And right now, based on everything that's happening, even the ice thing, the ice thing is like, to me, it's been happening for years. I'm 42 years old. I remember when I was a kid, when Bush and Obama and all them, the same thing was happening. It's just that it wasn't televised. Like the real devil person is the media. The media is always just moving us back and forth. Hey, creating issues on one side, creating issues on the other side and realistically, they've never been our friends. They'll make a good person look bad and a bad person look good. You've seen it over and over and over and over. And I'll tell you this real quick. I traveled to Europe a lot and to South America. And I was in Europe, I was in Portugal, and I was sitting down, and there was a table of like 20, 30 young men. Everybody was sitting there talking. Nobody was on their phone. Nobody was talking about politics. And I'm sitting there and I'm traveling all these different countries, and no one's discussing politics. Everyone's just having normal conversations, living a regular life. The minute I land in the United States, oh my God, everybody's just it's everything that everybody talks about is politics, and we don't talk about normal stuff anymore. So the media really consumed our mind. Even myself, I fall into the same trap over and over, and I try to get myself out of it. But realistically, like if we all just have normal conversations and you just talk about our daily life, They would shut up. They would, if we all just turned off, if everybody just went on strike and stopped watching TV for 2 weeks and just started communicating and no social media, I guarantee you everything would change. I guarantee you everything would change. It's perspective. Realistically, we let them control our minds.
I mean, yeah, we can say that, right? But the reason why people talk about politics a lot is because we've seen how much of a flashpoint it is, and it's good that we talk about politics because like it affects a lot of our society. Basically, like politics affects everything. Like you can't escape it. Now we can talk about other things outside of that, sure. Like when I'm with my friends, like I catch up on what's going on, or we talk about
Okay.
what's going on with the kids. You know what I mean? If we watch a certain movie, like what books we read, like sure, these are all things to talk about. We can talk about it, but I think the reason why, especially when it comes to minorities like black people, the reason why politics is so important is because our existence in this society is politicized. So everything deals with politics, even books. Or actually, especially books. Especially books is political. Like comics are political. You know what I mean? Anime is political. You know what I mean? Like these are all like important things. Like if you watch like One Piece, the entire thing is about people who are on the bottom taking out people who are on the top. You know what I mean? All about the governments being corrupt and private markets and stuff like that, taking over the world and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean it's all political. It's all political messaging. So it's hard to escape it. But I do understand how it can become exhausting, right? You get one of those exhaustion things where, like you're like, damn, everything is, voting or your political affiliation or beliefs and stuff like that. But the reason why that is because a lot of times it becomes a measuring stick for like, can I be friends with you? You know what I mean? Because I can be friends with someone who thinks that universal healthcare isn't a good idea because we have to raise taxes a bit. That's fine. I could be friends with that person. Like we could talk about it, and if he disagrees, he disagrees. We could be friends after that, right? But if his politics is informing him that women should be in the kitchen, and the reason why black people have issues in America is because we have lower IQ, now it's a problem. I can't be friends with that person. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the reason why all this becomes important. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, it's 100% makes sense. But I think what they're doing is they're making it. It should be separated. Like, all right, guys, 20%. All right, from this time to this time. But they don't care, man. They're just shoving it They're shoving it down our throats 24/7. For the last, since President Trump was in office for the first time, to all the way to now, it has not stopped. Like the media attacking, and like honestly, realistically, what has really things have changed. Things have changed on and off, but realistically, like I continue with my life. I continue to just work, control what I could control. And my outcome has been good, but it gets exhausting. That's why I travel in and out, because I come back here and it's just nothing but political. Like nothing. That's all it is. I try to change my algorithm and they just dump it back. They dump it back. They dump it back. So it's not healthy for us to be, when it comes to besides, like I said, it's not healthy. Like
no, I agree. I agree. Rage baiting is not healthy for us. We should all be outside. We should all be touching outside and everything like that. Oh, speaking about that, just a quick announcement, everybody. Saturday and Sunday, I'm not going to be streaming because I'm going to be with wifey. It's Valentine's weekend and I got to spend time with her. So this weekend is not going to be any streams, y'all. So Saturday, Sunday, no stream. Tomorrow I'll be on, but Saturday, Sunday, probably not. I'll be with her all weekend. But other than that, I do agree that it is exhausting because we get rage baited a lot, right? Which is why I like to do these type of lives where we actually discuss things. But listen, Fire, I do have another caller on the line, but I appreciate you being here, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Thank you. Take care, man.
Not a problem. All right, guys, keep liking the live, keep sharing. For the person who called from 682, go ahead and call in again. Not sure why you dropped out. I'm going to go ahead and get to 561. 561, can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had what I had on the board?
Mike, 38, and a few, a few points. I just want to ask you a question. So, do you use faith?
Do I use faith? We probably have to go down a list of things, and we will probably find something that I just have to take on faith, probably. But maybe I would say to that question, because I can't think of anything right now that I use faith for.
Okay. Well, I'll give you the biblical definition of faith, which is the faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So faith would be something that you yourself have not seen, but you know or rely on it to be real. Would you, under that pretext, would you say you fall under that definition of faith?
Well, that definition is not good utility, basically, because I've never seen the moon tighten, Saturn's moon tighten. I've never seen it with my own eyes, but we know it exists, right? So if we're gonna go by that, like I've never been to.
You said, wait, say that statement again.
Like if we're gonna say,
if
like from what I'm understanding from what you're saying, faith is basically something that you've never seen, but you trust is real. I've never seen Nigeria, but I trust it's real because there are people from there, right?
There's pictures of the country and of the globe.
Right, exactly.
Geographical,
right.
You have
seen it. You're right, exactly. So, okay, so then I wouldn't fall on that definition. Right, so I wouldn't fall on that definition. So,
do you believe in the Big Bang?
Big Bang is true, yeah.
Okay, have you ever seen a Big Bang?
No, we have evidence of it.
Okay, that's faith. Have you seen a picture? So
that's not faith. We have evidence of the Big Bang. Didn't we talk about this last time?
No.
We have evidence of a Big Bang.
No. Okay, I'm asking, have you seen it?
No,
you haven't. Nobody has seen it. So therefore, you would fall.
No, we don't. Again. We talked about this before. There is evidence of the Big Bang. I've never seen Nigeria, but I've seen pictures. Hold on, Chris. You need to stop. I've never seen Nigeria for my own eyes, but there is pictures of it, and there are people from there. So there is evidence of Nigeria. The same thing with the Big Bang. We don't have a picture of it happening, right? Because that's not possible to do. But we do have evidence that it happened. Again, the cosmic microwave background radiation, the expansion of the universe, the abundance of light elements, galaxies, age of stars. We have evidence of the Big Bang. We don't have to go take a picture of it. Same thing with black holes. Before we were able to take pictures of black holes, we knew that they existed because of like gravity.
There's pictures of them.
We have a picture of a black. We have a picture of a black hole now, but the reason why we knew that they existed. Hold on. The reason why we knew it existed before is because of the evidence that existed prior to the point that we had a picture of it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go on my linear logic. You have not seen half of the things that you so-called espouse to or believe you have not seen. Another example that you have faith is, do you ever go to a doctor's office?
Yes, I go to a doctor's office, but I want to reply to the first thing that you said. You can't keep accusing me of having faith when we have evidence of the things that I accept. That's not faith. Okay. Once you have evidence, faith doesn't exist anymore. Faith is not evidence.
Okay.
So you don't have to take a picture. Hold on. We don't have to take a picture of the Big Bang to know that it happened. That's stupid, bro.
Okay. So you don't need to see something. In other words,
that's not what I said. 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 Okay. You don't need to take a picture of a phenomenon in order for you to know the phenomenon exists. You can't take a picture of gravity, but we know gravity exists, right? Because we're sitting on our ass right now.
There's an equation.
This is silly, bro.
There's an equation that goes. Yeah, but there's an equation that
is there an equation to the Big Bang?
I'm asking you. You believe?
Yes.
Is there an equation?
Yes.
Okay.
Fucking Christ,
okay,
bro.
I'm asking you. You're teaching me. Don't Google it. This is your belief.
All right. The Big Bang equation is G delta. Oh shit! I can't even read this because it's hold on. I'll put it on. I'll put it on the screen if you want me to. You want me to put it on the screen?
Yeah. Because you're
right, sure.
teaching me. So yeah. Let me see.
All right, sure.
Okay, so this is it. Okay.
All right. Here's the Big Bang equation right there. You see it? I can't read that because I'm not a physicist, so I won't be able to tell you what any of this means. But the Big Bang does have equations. All right. So, but what I'm and not only that, it has core equations. It has several equations. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know this part. I knew it had equations, but I didn't know it had several. But it has several equations. Okay. So this is the thing that I want to see. This is the thing that I want to keep saying. Whenever I say, hey, listen, we have evidence of this, that, and the third, which is why I accept it. You then respond by saying, oh, you have faith because you've never seen it. You can't keep doing that, man. That's dishonest. The reason why I accept certain things is because we have evidence of it. We have evidence of the Big Bang. Okay. We have evidence of evolution. We have evidence of these things. Therefore, I don't need to actually go out into the universe and take a picture of the hot dense state. I don't need to do that.
You don't need to see it. So you don't need to see it. In other words, you don't need a picture. You don't need to actually physically see it. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. If there's evidence of it, you don't need to actually see it with your eyes.
Can a scientific equation be false or negative?
Probably, yeah. I think so.
Yeah, so they can. So what you just presented can potentially be false, correct?
Sure.
It hasn't been proven true. Okay, so my theory and God, the way in which you believe in the Big Bang theory, there is substantial evidence first that shows that Jesus Christ was a real individual. So much more than, you have the Roman emperors from back in the day, Julius Caesar being one of the famous. There's more evidence of Jesus than Julius Caesar. There's more evidence of Jesus than a lot of so-called, even Alexander the Great. A lot of these, monumental figures in history.
Okay.
Do you accept that Jesus Christ was a real person?
Jesus Christ was a real person. But your claim that there's more evidence of Jesus than Julius Caesar is really without merit.
Yeah. No, it is with merit. You give me all of, we'll do this. Give me all of the evidence that proves that Julius Caesar existed in the time that was said that he existed, and what proof and evidence do you have, or people like you with Jesus Christ, you have actual visual evidence of him actually being in the places that he says. So that's one piece of evidence. Then you have manuscripts. You have everybody. You have Siddhartha Gautama, Buddha, all of these famous people, or even Muhammad. All of these figures throughout history have spoke of Jesus. And then you also have atheists who have proven Jesus' genealogy. So I'm asking you, what evidence do you have that Julius Caesar actually existed, other than
his own writings?
So what you have may have read.
His own writings.
Which writings of Julius Caesar?
The commentary on the Bello.
Okay.
Yeah. So he wrote it. He also wrote letters to people. He also wrote a letter to Cicero. Oh, actually, he didn't write a letter to Cicero. Cicero wrote a letter to him. So there's Cicero, and not only that, there's archaeological evidence such as coins with his face. Like that proves like direct evidence that he existed. Like we have actual coins with his face on it.
Okay. And the argument, so that I'm clear, I'm saying there's more evidence of Jesus Christ than Julius Caesar, and you refuted that evidence by saying writings. And
his own writings, Caesar's own writings, meaning the ones that he actually signed himself, and people writing to him in coins with his face on it that date to the time that he was supposed to be alive.
Listen, I'm not fighting on, with you on the history of Julius Caesar. What I'm saying is the same evidence that you use, and you didn't discredit that Jesus was alive and a real person, but the same evidence that they use to validate or, archaeologically validate Julius Caesar, there's more substantial evidence that validates Jesus, but it would be, irrelevant because you already believe in Jesus. So you believe he was a real person. What part of Jesus Christ's life don't you believe?
The powers.
The power. So the miracles and stuff that took place.
Right. There's no way to actually prove those.
Okay, so does that mean they're not true just because it can't be proven?
It doesn't mean that they're not true. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't believe it.
Okay, so I would say that would be an agnostic stance because you're not saying that it is, but you're also not saying that it isn't. You're just saying that since there's no proof, we shouldn't believe it.
Right.
So,
like if I were to tell you that I'm a genie from the lamp, you're not going to believe it just because it's written down in a book, right?
Yeah, but the person, I'm talking about just the physiognomy, the physical form of Jesus Christ. We know that he was a real person. My question to you is the body. We have been able to find every single, for the most part, everyone's body that has existed for the most part in history, at least the biggest, political figures, historical figures in the world. Jesus Christ said that he was risen from the dead. They have searched, atheists have searched for Jesus's body since, I don't want to say the beginning of time, but for a very, very long time. What would you say to, the ones that cannot find Jesus's body, that the Bible asserts that, his body is no longer here? What would you say to that?
So what? The Bible can say anything that it wants. It doesn't make it true.
Here, listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They gave the exact location. Like if something was lying, like if let's say a book or a story was lying, I would not give the exact location to where something is, because then you could easily go to that spot, to that place to try to find it, and you would be able to dig it up, and it would give less validity, or it would make it easy for your story to become distorted and or to be found out to be a lie, because you're given exact locations, you're given exact people, you're given exact time and things that were happening during that time. Jesus, we know where he was buried. We know the tomb of Arimathea. We know exactly where Jesus was buried. Archaeologists have found the tomb where Jesus has been buried. They actually had cloth with, blood droplets on it that they could carbon date back to Jesus, but yet there is no body. How do you explain that? That this book,
okay,
I would think it would be foolish to give you an exact location of somewhere where somebody is buried.
Several things. Number one, the Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin hasn't been proven to date towards this time. I know people bring up the recent study that was made, but that study was not based on anything scientific. And the multiple studies after that shows that it was not it doesn't date to that time. So the Shroud of Turin is not evidence of anything. But the second thing that I would say, a story saying this thing happened at this place still doesn't make the story true, because Joseph of Arimathea, we have no idea he even existed. The only reference we have of him is in the Bible itself, in church tradition. But outside of that, there is no other archaeological evidence or any secondhand source that this person actually existed. We're not even sure if the town of Arimathea even existed, which is how bad that is. But the third thing I would say is that, yes, this is all an excellent story, right? But it's all still a story. We know that Jesus lived and then he died. For the sake of argument, right? He lived and he died. Now, the story in the Bible says he was buried over here, and then he rose from the ground. And if you go over there, you won't see his body. That actually sounds to me like they're affirming that they're actually coming up with the story in of itself, right? Because that part right there, because you said like they wouldn't give exact location if they were just were lying. The exact location itself could be a lie. You see what I'm saying? Like Jesus could have gotten buried in a mass grave, and in the story, they just said he was buried in the tomb. There's no way to disprove that would be true, right? That's why I was saying this is all just in a book, in a story. When it comes to where is Jesus' body, we don't know. We may never know. But that doesn't mean what this book saying is automatically true because of that.
Okay, and I just want to school your audience. You have one of your comments that said, does he really think that dead bodies last for 2,000 years? I would just have to post something here. And I know you already know this. This isn't for you, that they've found human remains dating over 3,000 years ago. So whoever wrote that comment, I know they probably, may not have known, but I just wanted to bring that point out. Okay.
I just want to say something really quickly, because this person Zay is saying that I'm just on ChatGPT. Hey Zay, this is my screen right now. This is my screen. You see my screen? My screen is on my live. So when you say I'm just looking at ChatGPT, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you can kiss my ass. But go ahead, Chris.
Okay. So remains have been found. They found Buddha remains and stuff. And actually, Alexander the Great, who existed before Jesus Christ was ever on the scene, point being that there's been a lot of remains found. So when the other question I asked you was, you've been to a doctor's office. Have you ever asked to see the doctor's medical degree?
No.
Okay. So me too. I'm gonna agree with you on that front. I have never went into a doctor's office or looked at a wall to see if that doctor had a medical degree. Yet there are two things: malpractice, and there are doctors who they actually don't have medical degrees, and they get found out, and they lose their practicing what work or whatever. They're no longer able to treat patients. So I say in your everyday life, you do use a form of faith. You do not know, you have not seen, like the doctors that you go and visit, you have not seen that they have a medical degree. They're functioning. There's been many, especially in Florida, there's been many medical offices that have been functioning without a medical degree. And, you're talking about 10 plus years, however long, until it, somebody actually says something and they come to find out, okay, this person is not a real doctor. They're actually fake. And they end up getting shut down. But my point is that we all use some form of faith. No world and no person's worldview can you use empirical evidence throughout your whole entire life and be satisfied. How do I know this? Because the chairs you sit in, you do not check the chair for stability. You sit down. When you walk, let's say on a stage, you do not check to see if the stage is stable. You walk in confidence that whoever constructed that stage, however long ago, is going to be able to sustain your weight. That is a form of faith. You have no idea who built that stage. You have no idea who manufactured that chair you sit in, but yet every single day in and out, you go and you sit with confidence that that chair will hold your weight. That is a form of faith.
The reason why that's still in empirical is because if these chairs that when I go into the office or buy at Walmart were to constantly fail, they wouldn't buy them anymore, because that's a liability issue, right? I can sue my job, I can sue Walmart, I can sue the company for making faulty chairs. So it's if that's not happening, if a company is still making chairs and they haven't gone out of business yet, or they don't have a bad reputation for making chairs, then offices, if they had a bad reputation for making chairs, law offices or the places where you work wouldn't buy them, right? Because that's a liability issue. Same thing with the stage thing that you're talking about. Same thing with the doctor, because if doctors' offices were to keep hiring people without knowing their medical degrees, without asking any questions, they will be sued to the high heavens, right? So our entire system works off empiricism, as a matter of fact, because the only people who get away with not actually being doctors are the ones like the fake doctor that was down here in Florida, where he basically started up his own office, started seeing patients. He didn't go to he didn't go to an established office or a hospital or anything like that. All he did was get some money, get some money, build up an office in a plaza, look really nice like a doctor office is supposed to look, and just started practicing medicine. And that's how he got caught and arrested for it, because he didn't have a license and he was trying to bill insurance. So when it comes to actual establishments, people who work for hospitals or work for certain clinics, it's empirical that those hospitals and clinics check their credentials, because that's what they do. empirically, or otherwise they'll get sued. Now, there are people who do fall through the cracks, like the fake doctor we were talking about before. Yeah, that fell through the cracks because a real estate office doesn't need to check your doctor's license if you're saying you're going to do a doctor's office in there. They typically don't check that. So yeah, people are going to fall through the cracks. That does happen. But most doctors that you see are affiliated with a network somehow. They're going to check. Yeah, I mean, so our entire society works off of empiricism. Like literally almost nobody is going to be opening up a gymnasium with a stage where they don't check the work of the people who built that stage. There's going to be a liability issue. People are going to get sued. You know what I mean? So our entire thing works off empiricism. I don't need to check if who's the builder that made that stage, because the gymnasium should have checked that. And if they don't, they're the ones who's going to be liable for my injuries, aren't they? And they don't want to do that. So our whole system works off empiricism, bro.
Okay, but that would only be relevant for the so-called, not just the Christian, but the believer in whatever religion that you may put your faith in. We can say that as, people who don't rely on concrete or imperialistic, evidence. We don't need that. We live our life every day, and, we trust in God. Some people may trust in other things, but we ourselves don't need empirical scientific evidence in order to do something. If you do believe in empiricism, and this as theory, because it's only in theory that, you have to have proof in order, to see, to have something operate. You have to have proof in order, okay, I got the proof that the person who welded this stage or this bridge that I'm about to drive over did a good job. You don't know. You never met them before. It could have been an idiot. You don't know if the person was certified to actually construct or manufacture.
When I show this picture
bridges,
on the screen,
but you're just going to have to trust the process. That I believe that they would not hire somebody that did not know what they were doing. And so you put your trust and your hope in whoever built that bridge. That's where your hope is. In juxtaposition to a Christian, a believer who believes, puts their faith in God. So let's say even if that bridge was not constructed well, let's say it was constructed bad. Either way, if it was constructed good, we do not put our faith in man. We put our faith in God. So I think a lot of people try to find the utmost differences between, and they try to, behave and act as if they act outside of so-called faith and belief and, the Christian walk. But if you really get to the nucleus of the theory or the belief, you will see that it's exactly the same, that nothing in your life will you ever have 100% proof. I wouldn't even say 50% proof. Most of the things that you have in life, you can't trust the driver on the road not to crash into you. You can't get into your car and start driving and say, I believe that every single driver on this road is good and no accidents will take place. So you have to have faith in maybe your driving ability, if not up to driving ability, but in some way, shape, or form, there is faith implemented in the everyday life. And your faith is either in yourself and your abilities, and in the Christian side, their faith is in God and what the Bible.
All right. So several problems, right? Because they're putting their faith in something they can't prove to be true, right? That's the first thing. But the second thing that I would say when it comes to the second thing that I was saying when it comes to everything else that you were saying, again, it all operates still off of empiricism, because if companies hire people to build bridges and those people are shitty, and something happens with that bridge, people are going to be sued, and no one wants to go through that. Not just being sued, but people will die. And if you do something like that, where they are, like, for example, I was in the military, right? Sure. The person who jumps into the plane that I worked on, because I was in the Air Force, the person who jumps onto that plane that I worked on in the Air Force, they have to trust that I did a good job. But guess what? If I didn't do a good job and that pilot dies, I get hit with negligent homicide. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm also going to make sure that I do a good job, right? And this is a thing that actually has happened in the Air Force before, where people who are doing my job didn't do what they were supposed to do. The pilot died and they went to jail for negligent homicide. It's an actual real thing, right? So yeah, the pilot has to trust that I did my job. But the reason I'm going to make sure that I do my job is because I don't want to go to jail because for killing someone. Right. So these are things that you have to take into consideration. And not only that, we all check our work within the military. Right. So if I do something, my supervisor is going to check that. And then his supervisor is going to check that before anything goes on that plane. You see what I'm saying? So these are all the checks and balances that happen throughout society. Like this is ubiquitous in any type of major project that's going on. It's going to go through several levels of checks. And if it doesn't go through several levels of checks, guess what? People die, people get sued, people go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So all this reinforces empiricism. There's going to be paperwork. There's going to be something that happens to make sure that someone did their job. You see what I'm saying? And if that doesn't happen, if that doesn't exist, people will die. Like it's not even like a joke at that point. People will die. You see what I'm saying? So like all of this backs up empiricism, because when a bridge falls apart, the first thing they do is, who was the construction company? Who did they hire? What was the paperwork that they had? Et cetera, et cetera. It keeps going through that, and it keeps going through lines and lines and lines and lines of paper to see who didn't do their job. All that is empiricism.
But that's a distortion. That's a straw man. I'm not arguing about somebody being sued. I'm arguing about your belief, not knowing who built it. You're having a belief. You have not the slightest clue of who put the bolt or who welded whatever metal.
I don't need that, but that's what I'm saying is that
bridge.
What I'm saying is that the reason why that's irrelevant is because that's, for number one, that's not my job. But number two, like I said before, that bridge will not get built without someone knowing that they're doing their job. Like that's not going to happen.
Okay, you're saying that doesn't happen. So a bridge, there's never been faulty construction of a bridge where a bridge has collapsed and people have died.
Where, in the United States?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's a straw man.
That's not a straw man. I'm asking you to clarify where, because if we're living in the United States, or in general, of course, it's happened before, but like that's the reason why that's unfair is because like cars explode too, right? But that doesn't typically happen in Western industrialized countries. So it's like, what are we talking about?
Industrialized countries. We've never had a mishap of a bridge. I want you to really, are you in Florida? So you should already know about this. And I'm going to wait. It's going to hit you. If you're in Florida, it's going to hit you like, oh crap, wait. Yeah, this did happen. Yeah, people did die.
Which bridge collapse are you talking about?
Are you in Florida?
I'm in Florida. Which one are you talking about?
Miami?
Which one?
Remember the bridge that collapsed that was connecting, what was it, by FAU? And it collapsed, and they were, the so-called warning signs and all of that. You have to look it up because it's been a minute since it's happened. But yeah, that bridge, we're an industrialized country.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it never happens. What I'm saying is that the people who did that get sued because people die. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say.
When them getting sued,
right?
Listen. The point is, you have faith. That bridge that those people were walking on, I'm pretty sure not 100% of them were Christian, but they walked on it believing, that it would never collapse. And what happened? It collapsed. So therefore, they're so-called,
because someone didn't do their job, right?
It doesn't matter. I'm not arguing about somebody not doing their job. I'm arguing the point that you have faith. You have some form of faith that when you go out there, that the people that are driving, even let's use driving as an example, When you're driving,
okay, so your point, your entire point is that because I don't know who built certain things, I have an implicit trust that they did a good job in building that certain thing, simply because that's typically how our society works. Yeah, sure, I have to implicitly trust that a bridge builder actually did their job. Great. Let's so like let's say I take your point for what it is, right? And you call that faith. Cool. I have faith that the person who's supposed to build this bridge actually did a good job, and I was wrong, and I got hurt. That still makes faith unreliable.
No, it doesn't, because I would hope a reasonably logical person would see that something that I put that was, hey, scientifically notated or scientifically tried, it still failed. That men are fallible.
But the thing is, the thing is, like, they didn't scientifically do anything, because if a bridge builder didn't do their job, then that means that they lied. Doesn't mean that they scientifically did anything. They just lied.
Okay, to actually say that again, because I want to understand what you're saying. I'm sorry.
All right. What I'm saying is that if a bridge builder failed or didn't do something to make sure that the bridge was safe, they didn't use anything. It wasn't anything about science. Is that's the bridge builder lied. It wasn't about really the science of anything. They just lied about what they did.
No, I don't think because you have superintendent. Yes, there's a lot of things that go into manufacturing.
There is.
The blueprint.
You're correct. Yeah. There is, but people cut corners all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't.
Which
you
is lying.
Be able to specifically. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to specifically point out who exactly
lied.
Made them. It could have been an honest mistake. It really could have been an honest mistake that somebody. And I can't get in here because I'm no engineer, so I can't sit here and play as if I know all of the workings that go into building a bridge. But it could have been an honest mistake. But I will use driving as an example. Your faith will be totally reliant, as I'm pretty sure all good drivers.
No, I'm not gonna lie, man. I just kind of want to get past this, man. Sure, like we can, because I've always said that. Yeah, if we go down a litanies of things, we're gonna find something where I'm just gonna have to begrudgingly agree that, yeah, sure, for this thing, I guess I have to have faith in that. I have to have some trust in other. I trust myself when I'm driving. I don't trust anybody else. But yeah, I have to have some sort of trust that when I go over a bridge that's going over water, that people are actually checking and doing their jobs to make sure that the bridge is safe. I have to implicitly trust that, because I'm not an engineer and I can't go after 100,000 people that. Exactly. I can't check it myself because I'm not an engineer. I'm not a construction worker, et cetera, et cetera. So they have to trust the experts that they actually did their job, right? If it happens one day that the bridge falls apart and I'm on it and I get hurt, then I was just wrong in trusting those people because someone did something wrong. Sure. But society has checks and balances, and I have to implicitly trust those checks and balances because they work the majority of the time. But at the end of the day, what does all this mean exactly? None of this means that faith is reliable still.
Yeah, but empiricism, you cannot go off of what you would call
empiricism 100%, etc. Yeah, like when it comes to logical reasoning,
if you look up it's reason. You cannot go off of reason. It's experiments.
No, I can't. No. I disagree with that. I can go off of reason because I don't have any good reason to believe that this bridge is going to fall. Right? Like I don't have a good reason to believe that.
Look up the
but I do. Hold on.
It's been a while since I've been in college. Look up the definition of empiricism, and you will see.
All right. So
I don't think you can go off of reason. I do not know. You Google it and you let me know. It's been a while. I could be wrong.
I'm kind of okay. Well, maybe I'm not understanding what you mean then, because I'm kind of struggling with what you're saying here. You're saying that we can't use empiricism, right? But empiricism is necessarily evidence, checks and balances,
No,
et cetera,
you
et
can't
cetera.
use logical reason. You cannot use what you're going off of. If it's true empiricism, it would have to be through experimentation, observation, experience. You cannot go anything off of logically thinking, like just reason. You're just pure reason. You're saying that this is going to work off of pure reason. Empiricism does not work like that.
Right. Okay.
It does not work like that. Okay,
No, I got you. But like you just said, you know, evidence and experience and stuff like that, right? That's empiricism. If we're going off of that, then yeah, I'm going to implicitly trust like the bridge is not going to fall on me, right? Because of, you know, the evidence of this working before, the evidence of people hiring engineers and construction workers, and my experience of driving over that bridge before. So yeah, that's empiricism there. So I'm kind of struggling with where we're going with this. I'm kind of lost.
Because if it was true empiricism, you would have to have had, like, let's say you went to a place that you never traveled before. You would have to have observed that bridge in some capacity before crossing it, done experimentation. I'm just giving you the basis for empiricism.
No, that's not how that works, man. That's not how that works, because we don't know everything.
You cannot.
Hold on, Chris. I don't know everything. Okay. So there's no way that for me to use empiricism, I have to know.
Not empiricism.
No, that's wrong, bro. That's wrong. No, that's wrong.
Empiricism.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
Okay,
that's
I'm
wrong.
Google,
that's wrong.
I'm going to Google
the
definition.
Hold on. I understand what empiricism means, but using empiricism doesn't mean that you. Hold on, listen. Using empiricism doesn't mean that you personally have to do every single experiment out there. That's crazy, bro. That's not what that means.
Okay, I'm just gonna read you the definition.
Hold on, Chris. Listen. Stop.
Okay.
I understand what the definition of empiricism is because you gave it to me. That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm arguing is that for you to say for empiricism, for me to use empiricism, I have to do experiment on every single thing I use is crazy. That's not how that works.
Yeah, but that's your belief system.
No, it's not.
Okay, let me just.
It is not.
Let me just read this.
No. Hold on. Stop. You don't need to read anything, because stop saying I'm going to read this, because you're not understanding my point. My belief system is not that I have to do an experiment, a scientific experiment on every single thing that I accept. That's not what that means. That's not what I ever believed. What are you saying?
Okay, so where did your knowledge? Let's say you're going to a new place. Let's say you visit France or somewhere that has a bridge that you never visited before. You didn't, and I know for a fact that people normally don't do research. Hey, when was this bridge built? How stable is it? How much weight can this sustain? I know normal people don't do that. So if you go to a new place, you have never crossed a bridge, what sensory experience do you have that aligns with empiricism, observation, or experiment that would allow you to know that this bridge is going to work?
The fact that millions of people have crossed it. The fact that hold on, no, that's not reasoning. That's not reasoning. That's empiricism. It's empirical that millions of people crossed that bridge in France because France has 65 million people. So that's literally empirical that they've crossed the bridge before.
That's called faith. You do not.
That's not faith. 65 million people live in France, right? So that means that millions of people are going to cross that bridge. That's crazy.
Okay.
What you're saying is insane, man. No, what you're saying is insane. What you're saying is insane. You're saying that if I don't do an experiment on or get or no engineering for bridge making, then I can't prove that bridge works, even though millions of people cross it. That's crazy, bro.
That's an analogy. That's what empiricism is.
It's not. I'm gonna go ahead. I gotta get out of here, y'all. I gotta get out of here. This is crazy. I don't even know what he's even talking about anymore. This is crazy. I gotta get out of here, bro. Like, it's already been over 20-30 minutes. All right, y'all. It is about to be 8:30. I've been on for about 2 hours. I gotta get off early because I got things to do. I do got homework. But I do appreciate y'all for being here. If you're watching me on Deconstruction Junction, I appreciate you watching me there. If you're watching me over on Volsy Thoughts, I appreciate you watching me there. I understand that not everyone crosses the bridge, but millions of people are going to cross a bridge. This is stupid. My God, like I don't. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, y'all. Y'all have a good night. I appreciate y'all. So as always, hey. I appreciate the TikTok, Vinny. I appreciate the TikTok. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Y'all can keep saying that I'll suck all y'all want. But you know what? You can't suck my dick, though. That's what you could do. That's what you could do. That's like how your mama did last night. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night. As I say all the time, let me go ahead and close off the line. All right, y'all. Line is closed. And I appreciate y'all. So for the person who said that I suck, so does your mom. All right. She guapped it, guap 5,000 all night. So yeah. All right. That's what sucks. So anyway, y'all are wonderful. I appreciate y'all. As I say, all men should be soft. And what that means is to be secure, be affectionate, be wise, flexible, and thoughtful. All right. All men should be soft.